Hey everybody, this is Kim Huffman from the Port, Westport Christian Church, and it's Tuesday, and today's my day to give you some information, and I've chose to do that from the rocking chair today. I know some of you are expecting a joke, so I did come prepared. What did the horse say when it fell down? I can't giddy up. Here's another one. What do you call a sleeping policeman? An undercover cop. One more. Where do automobiles go swimming? Carpools, of course. All right. Well, today I want to tell you a story. I think I'm going to tell you stories on my Tuesday time. This is called Old Eddie. It happened every Friday evening, almost without fail. When the sun resembles a giant orange and it's starting to dip into the blue ocean, old Ed comes strolling along the beach to his favorite pier. Clutched in his bony hand is a bucket of shrimp. Ed walks out to the end of the pier where it seems he almost has the world to himself. The glow of the sun is a golden bronze now. Everybody's gone except for a few joggers on the beach. Standing out at the end of the pier, Ed is alone with his thoughts and, of course, his bucket of shrimp. Before long, however, he is no longer alone. Up in the sky, 1,000 white dots come screeching and squawking, winging their way toward the lanky frame standing there on the end of the pier. Before long, dozens of seagulls have enveloped him, their wings fluttering and flapping wildly. Ed stands there, tossing shrimp to the hungry birds. As he does, if you listen closely, you can hear him say with a smile, "Thank you, thank you." In a few short minutes, the bucket is empty. But Ed doesn't leave. He stands there, lost in thought, as though transported to another time and another place. Invariably, one of the gulls lands on the sea-bleached, weathered hat, an old military hat he has been wearing for years. When he finally turns around and begins to walk back toward the beach, a few of the birds hop along the pier with him until he gets to the stairs, and then they too fly away. And old Ed quietly makes his way down to the end of the beach to his home. If you were sitting there on the pier with your fishing line in the water, Ed might seem like a funny old duck to you. Or he might be a guy about one sandwich shy of a picnic. To onlookers, he's just another old codger, lost in his own weird world, feeding the seagulls with a bucket full of shrimp. To the onlooker, ritual can look either way. It can be very strange and empty, or it can be very playful. They can seem altogether unimportant, maybe even a lot of nonsense. Old folks often do strange things, at least in the eyes of the boomers and the busters and the millennials. and Generation X. Most of them would probably write Ed off down here in Florida. That's too bad. They'd do well to know him better. His full name, Eddie Rickenbacker. He was a famous hero back in World War II. On one of his flying missions across the Pacific, he and his 7-member crew went down. Miraculously, though, all of the men survived, crawled out of their plane, and climbed into life rafts. Captain Rickenbacker and his crew floated for days on the rough water of the Pacific Ocean. They fought the sun, they fought sharks, and most of all, they fought hunger. By the 8th day, their rations were completely gone. No food, no water. They were hundreds of miles from land, and no one knew where they were. They needed a miracle. That afternoon, they had a simple devotional service and prayed to God for a miracle. Then they all tried to take a nap. Eddie leaned back and pulled his military cap over his nose to keep the sun out. Time seemed to drag on. All he could hear was the slap of the waves against their rafts. Suddenly, though, Eddie felt something land on the top of his head, on his cap. It was a seagull. Old Ed would later describe how he sat patiently still, planning his next move. With a flash of his hand and a squawk from the gull, he managed to grab it and wring its neck. He tore the feathers off the bird and gave pieces of the animal to the starving crew that made a meal, although very slight, for the 8 men. Then they used the intestines for bait. With it, they caught fish, which gave them food, and then more bait from those fish. And the cycle continued. With that simple survival technique, they were able to endure the rigors of the sea until they were found and rescued after 24 days at sea in rafts. Eddie Rickenbacker lived many years beyond that ordeal, but he never forgot the sacrifice of that first life-saving seagull. And he never stopped saying, "Thank you." That's why almost every Friday night he would walk to the end of that pier with a bucket full of shrimp and a heart full of gratitude. That comes from Max Lucado's book, In the Eye of the Storm, and also this book, Eddie Rickenbacker, God Still Answers Prayer. Well, we're still hanging in there. That's about really all we can do. We want to keep doing that. Hope you're talking to people on the phone. If you have the internet capability, Skyping them or duoing them on your phone. It's pretty important for us to keep in contact with one another since we can't be together here at the church. So keep on keeping on and keep Jesus Christ in your heart. That's all for today. I'll see you again next Tuesday with another story.